Okay, so it's 12:17 on, is that all right time? 12:18 on the 10th of January. And it's 33 minutes, or actually I think 35 minutes after I quit the last recording. So, huge gap here. But in those 35 minutes of gaining the sort of insightful wisdom that required me to get right back on and speak, I'm recording because the rest of the day may be shot to the point that I don't really get back a chance to record. And since I promised myself daily recording, this is the first time I'm being proactively ahead of myself to make sure that something does get down that matters in case I get caught up in national championship celebrations with my dad, or my phone battery dies when I think I've recorded something and then there's no time to re-record. And look at this proactivity from me in case of disaster. You're seeing maybe a very first. Seeing it, I doubt it. Hearing it, sort of, but believing it, and not until it's actually gone down, right? And I didn't get to one thing that I had left dangling, and I guess this is the one point that's worth dissecting for the next 7 minutes or whatever it takes to circumvent it. And that is my 3 days off request, which wasn't asked about until 2 days later. So in other words, my next shift, nobody brought it up. And then my next shift, when I worked with everybody, all the bosses, the department bosses, were working. The head of the department asked me if it was the week of the 24th that I wanted to get down to 3 days. And I said, well, after thinking about that, and frankly, the truth is, the job's easy, and it's right next to my house, which makes it, in so many ways, perfect, just in that capacity. And by easy, I don't mean that the work's easy, and, I don't take it home. I don't think about it. It's not taxing in some sort of capacity that makes me feel like I'm devoting more energy than I should. I can really just call it work, show up, do a good job, go home, get my paycheck, and clock out. And that gives me all the rest of my life to do what I need to do. And there's a huge reward in all that. So I just basically said, no, I'm tearing this moment up, and that I would rather pursue full-time hours for good for now, and to write me into the schedule for at least the next 6 months as a 40-hour-a-week employee. And then I had these episodes happen that made me think I was getting overlooked because the universe wasn't rewarding me for my talents when I had to quit. That attitude. Because, again, this is a job. This is not my destiny. This is not my purpose. This is not my fulfillment. This is not my phoenix rising from the ashes. This is how I'm going to get back on track to pay my parents' rent instead of living in their basement. This is how I'm going to get back on track so I have $1,500 in case my dog needs shots. This is how I'm going to get back on track so that I have food in the house, so that I don't have to go find a can of beans in my parents' house to make burritos. And this is how I'm going to get back on track so that my parents know that there's some stability there and they can let go of all the stress that it creates when they think they might have to save my ass in God knows what circumstance. So, to do anything less is to be selfish in a capacity that I'm not willing to stoop. I don't have that right. I don't have that gap earned, nor do I have that capacity and buffering to expect that kind of safety zone. Fuck that. I need to get to work and do some recuperating of my finances, and then make some decisions based on where I can go from there. So, number one is that episode is clearly over, even though I will have that trigger happen. I'm sure, again, the very next shift I work, I will be able to resist it because, like I said, I've come to see what the real track is here that needs to be followed. I do not need to be distracted by nonsense, and so I will pick up not where I left off, but where I need to be. Because where I left off was in a place that I still felt slighted by the universe for not recognizing my talents and recognize some other joker's talents, instead of realizing that that other joker needed the recognition in ways that I don't. And I'm glad he got it, because it shows that even those of us who have started with some mistreatment aren't being completely mistreated. And so, bravo. And also, if I get too attached to something, I'll not move on to what's next. And what's next is both more important and bigger than anything I'm doing right now. And so, if I'm not facilitating that as my ultimate primary goal, then everything else I'm doing is just getting caught up in daily nonsense that I do not have time for the distraction. Look, I didn't waste them. I have spent plenty of time preparing for this. So now, I must stay focused. I must believe in myself, and I must recognize when I'm learning how to be way better than I've ever been at things, because I've always been sort of mediocre and so easily distracted that I wasn't getting shit done. No more. I must work 5 days a week. I must work 40 plus hours a week, and I must do everything I can to recoup my finances to get them in a structure to make on to the next phase of what I'm going to do. And like I said, I believe in myself. I know what I'm doing is the right thing. And if I can't trust myself, who can I trust?